What can you do with 35 hectares of nature? At Hives and Hammers they're working on that with Landgoed Sminia right now. In this series you can follow everything they do, from rebuilding a place once full of fish farms to a land of bees and biodiversity. Now the estate will be given back to nature, where bees play an essential role. In this first episode we'll meet Wouter, who takes us through the buildings on Landgoed Sminia and his plans with the estate.
Yeah, this place was built in the same beautiful year that I was built, 1968. It was originally a place connected to fishery. So the whole area is or was covered with fishing ponds, and they built a lot of storage space and office space and fish tanks, none of which we can use as it is. So we have to strip the whole thing. It's only the square meters that we can use, which makes this project fairly challenging because we have to redo the whole thing, but that'll be fun. So what we found was a lot of concrete and a lot of bricks, typically 60s built, government commissioned, and what we want is a more natural environment. So basically we have removed and will remove everything that we don't need, and on the bare walls and the bare bricks we are plastering clay. It will be a few centimeters thick, and the beauty of clay is that it absorbs both heat and moisture, but it also gives it back when needed. So this one will be the training room. One of the first things that we want to complete. The whole thing was owned by a company that was working with fish. So we have fish tanks everywhere. This big one, we have left it where it is, but we'll probably use it to grow some mushrooms, or even maybe magic mushrooms. So this is basically the back of the fish tank. There were also concrete tanks for fish here. Again, with some effort we have removed everything, put a bed of sand in the near future there'll be one flat concrete floor, as this will have to be a clean room for wax. I presume they were doing something with packing fish or whatever they did that needed a lot of water and concrete tubs. We removed most of it. We'll level the floor, and then we'll use this room for processing wax. Obviously with the bees we have a lot of wax, and we have a machine that makes wax foundation sheets that we use in the beehives from the raw wax. They'll be here. In the next rooms we'll be processing the honey in the future. So this room used to be a lab used by the previous owners. They did some kind of research here. Not sure what exactly it was, but it definitely involved a lot of water and a lot of gas. As a reminder of our school days, there was this asset closet. All of this will be removed. The whole room will be stripped and will be prepared as a clean environment for processing and packing honey. Here we'll run into a small challenge because the storage area will is behind this. So we need to remove this wall as well as the next one, which we already started. So once this wall is removed, and we have placed a door here in what used to be another wall, we'll have a solution for our internal logistics, as in honey from storage going into the processing area. Basically the only option because there was no other door available. So we removed the wall, placed the frame for the door, And soon we'll place 2 isolated doors here. So this we call the big barn. It's huge. We leveled the floor last week. Took us 80 cubic meters of sand, and all the stones were there already. But at least now it's prepared to be used as a storage facility, and we can use the forklift indoors here. Will take a few weeks before we are going to actively use it. Very beautiful old woodwork up there. Unfortunately, no floor that we can use, so it's a lot of meters, but we can't use them. So at some point somebody thought it was a good idea to close this door with bricks. So it was a blind wall. The wall by now is there on the floor. And the door is back to its original function as a door. Here there seem to be some old fish tanks. They have not been used for some 30 years, I would think, looking at the size of the trees. We have decided we'll leave the concrete as is. We'll clean up the vegetation a bit and maybe get rid of some of the trees that are not stable enough, because obviously the fish tanks have a bottom as well, so the roots will not be very deep. And then we have a second level garden here. The whole area will be leveled with let's say crushed stones and stuff, so that we can drive here with either cars or forklifts. And we have already started filling up the areas that needed filling. So the outside area, we have the last 3 buildings. One here on the right is what we call the net shed, and that is quite literally the shed that was used to dry the nets of these fishing people that were here. It's very high. Again, can't use the height, but we can use the inside. Then we have a sea container, which will be opened up with windows and doors and be used as an extraction room for the honey. And there's a great big barn there, now used for hay and straw, but in the future will be used for wood, and probably we'll have a sawmill installed in there so that we can use the old trees for boards rather than for firewood. So the net shed or the net barn, just installed a new lock because we'll probably be storing some tools here. Needs a bit of paint as well. So, same story as the other one. We leveled the floor with a lot of sand, emptied everything out, and we can use it as a workshop. But anyway, we have a lot of space and we can use, again, a lot of volume, but we'll only need to use the bottom part. Well, first, things will probably be moved in here because it's dry. There were some owls in here. We found a lot of owl excrements, but they're probably not so keen on us working here. So there's another owl nest on the other barn. Maybe they'll stay, but don't think they're too crazy about us. So we found this old shipping container. Question was, do we keep it or do we remove it? But actually, it's very useful for us as an extraction room because the bees will not be able to access. So this container will be made food grade so that we can process the raw honey here. extracting it from the frames that we harvest from the beehives. It will probably involve making a new floor, maybe epoxy, and creating some doors and windows. Until then, we'll use it as storage. Some of our homemade furniture is here at the moment. That will get a place in the trading room. Another big old barn. This will be our woodwork place. We'll collect the trees that we fell in our forest and probably saw some boards out of it. Biggest problem is not the sawing, it is storing and drying, but this looks pretty useful for a lot of wood to dry for a few years, so we can reuse it. Big enough though. And the rest, first a bit of crap, and then 35 acres of untouched nature, which is a very large backyard. We'll show you some of that when the weather is better. But anyway, it's fun for our daily round after work. See what birds and plants are living there. I heard the woodpecker already, but don't know where he is now. This is the original pump house where they pumped all the water into the fishing ponds and into the building. As you can see, we have removed everything because this will be like a reception area. Okay, the pump house. I don't think it has been opened since roughly 2000, so we found birds and plants and a lot of equipment. We got most of it out now, and then we'll need to level the floor, close the floor, because right underneath it's water, as is usual for a pump house, obviously. And then we'll have a nice area to receive deliveries.
Big project. I would never have started with it, but you took the challenge.
What were you thinking?
What motivated you to take this?
Well, as you know, we started small with 2 hives at home. By now we have more than 1,000 hives all over the country. We have more than 600 shops buying our honey. So first step, we need a space. And then by sheer accident, we ran into this place. Mostly interested us because it has 35 hectares of pure nature. But obviously there was some buildings as well. But on closer inspection, the buildings were slightly outdated, as in abandoned and not used for a while. So as with everything, things got out of hand very fast. And we thought, we can do this. So we just started and see where it ends. And we did the same thing with our honey business and with any other business. So we'll manage. We'll take a while, but we are always of the Pippi Langkous. So what is Pippi Langkous in English?
Yeah.
Pippi Longstrumpf in Swedes. Long socks, long stockings. Anyway, as with everything, we have never done it, but we think we can manage. And learning a lot is fun as well. So we'll took it on and we'll complete it in our own way. But it'll be good. A lot of work, but not a problem.
And you have a background in consulting. What motivated you to go into the beekeeping?
That was sheer necessity and force. No, my daughter basically came home one day and said, Dad, all the bees are dying. What are you going to do? I said, why me? She said, there is this book in your bookshelves, which is the handbook of modern beekeeping, although it was written in 1946, I think. But she knew that I was interested in beekeeping, but never did anything with it. So we just started with 2 beehives in the garden, found out that beekeeping is not very difficult, since the bees have been doing this for 50 million years, and we only started a few years ago. And then obviously we found out that bees create honey, and that honey is something that you can sell. And with the proceeds of the honey sales, we can create nature, which is the problem why bees and other animals are not doing all that well. So step by step, the beekeeping business grew, and I got a little bit bored with the whole boardroom consulting and meetings and Excel spreadsheets, and decided to leave that business alone and focus on what is more fun and what we call playing outside. So 90% of our time we can do stuff outside rather than in some stuffy office. And that's how we ended up here. Right, this was the first one of what will be a whole series of videos on our adventures here, how we work with the bees, how we renovate this place, how we work with nature, how we live here. I will try to show you everything, whether it goes well or whether it goes horribly wrong, which is bound to happen. And if you're interested, please like us and subscribe so you'll be notified of the next video. And until then, thanks very much for watching.